Good morning. It's a great privilege to be with you all here on Anzac Day. I would like to thank the Return Service League of New South Wales for the invitation to take such an active part in this dawn service. Moreover, to thank them for the great work that they do in supporting our Return Service personnel. I'd also like to acknowledge His Excellency the Honourable Andrew Bell, the Lieutenant Governor of New South Wales, and the Premier of New South Wales, the Honourable Chris Minns. Finally, I want to acknowledge the Australian Defence Force personnel, both past and present, who are with us here this morning. They have all served and continue to serve with great dedication and pride. For a number of you this morning, you'll be joining us this morning for the first time. Today will be your first Anzac Day dawn service. Some of you are young Australians, some of you are new to this country, while others may be joining us after being inspired by the many women and men who have selflessly put service ahead of self for our nation. Amongst us are sailors, soldiers and aviators who live a life of service. I encourage you to seek them out and take the time to speak with them. Find out what motivates an Australian to wear our uniform, how they've contributed to our nation, and what opportunities they've had to represent Australia overseas and in our communities, and what service means to them. I'm confident that you'll be inspired by their stories and the pride they display for Australia and our people. You'll also likely discover that our women and men in uniform are just like you in many ways, from all backgrounds, from all across our communities. They will share much with you, and you'll recognise that our service personnel share many of the same values that you do. Australia's service women and men are today's custodians of a legacy that began over 110 years ago on those fateful shores of the Gallipoli Peninsula. Regardless of when and where service has been rendered, whether it was you who wore the uniform or a loved one, or if you simply acknowledge what service of others has meant to our country, all Australians own and are part of the same legacy, the Anzac legacy. It's a part of who we are. It's the legacy of the first Anzacs who answered that call of duty, leaving behind the comforts of home and the warmth of loved ones to serve Australia with dedication, a sense of adventure and unparalleled bravery. Those Australians, many of whom were barely out of their teenage years, demonstrated extraordinary resilience and determination in the face of overwhelming adversity. Upon landing on Gallipoli's shores, the first Anzacs were met with fierce resistance and harrowing conditions in the months that followed. Our soldiers faced steep cliffs, treacherous terrain, and relentless enemy fire. Yet amid the chaos and uncertainty, they stood firm, stoic, and displayed the characteristics we ascribe to the Anzac legacy: courage, endurance, mateship, and sacrifice. That same legacy is also true of our soldiers, sailors and aviators throughout World War I, on the Western Front and the Middle East. It was also true of our soldiers, sailors and aviators throughout World War II in North Africa and later in Europe and across the Pacific. It was particularly evident on the Kokoda Track in New Guinea, where our soldiers fought valiantly in atrocious conditions to defend Australia. In more modern times, the Anzac spirit was also evident in the Malayan emergency, Korea, Vietnam, East Timor, Iraq, Afghanistan, and the various peacekeeping missions our service women and men have answered the call to to serve. As the commander of the 2nd Australian Division, I can tell you that the Anzac spirit lives on in today's soldiers, sailors and aviators. The 2nd Division is tasked with defending Australia, and we stand ready to do just that. The Anzac spirit is also a common thread across Australian society. It is something we see when we deal with adversity. Australians embrace nation before self and serve with dignity and pride when our country is most in need. On this solemn occasion, we also honour the families and friends of those who serve, wherever that may be. The partners, parents, siblings and friends who earnestly await news of their loved ones also display remarkable strength and courage. And where our brave service personnel pay the ultimate price for serving our nation, the sacrifices of those left behind are just as significant, and their stories remind us of the broader impact upon our communities. Later this morning, veterans, families and serving personnel will gather in the city and march proudly behind banners and flags that commemorate our deep military history, for the camaraderie of mateship and to honour those who have faded from our ranks, gone but never forgotten.